Welcome to A Petisco, a bite-sized chat about current topics. Today, David and I chat about Portugal's Route 66. Okay, welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life, the Petisco episode. David, what is a petisco?
Petisco is like a little salty bite that the Portuguese like to put together when they. It's like precursor to your main course. You know, while you're busy waiting for Granny and the aunties to bring the food out from the kitchen. These little bites that come out to the table, something to snack on, a bit of blood sausage, a bit of chorizo, a bit of bacalhau on the side. Oh God, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Yeah.
We've just released a really interesting article on our blog about the EN2, Strada Nacional 2, which is considered Portugal's Route 66. It wasn't called Portugal's Route 66 when you did that road.
No, I did it years ago. I mean, Route 66 sounds a lot cooler. But yeah, when I did it was the EN2. I'm going back for the first time. I mean, I've done it a couple of times in various stages, but the first time that I did it was probably in about 2002. Going back quite a few years. We actually started further north we didn't go up as far as Chaves for that first time. We did what most visitors to Portugal do is we went up to the Douro Valley and then found the N2 by accident. You know, there was no Route 66 idea, no TripAdvisor, no Google. In those days, you didn't have Google Maps. We had real paper maps that Beverly and I used.
I've been to Chaves, and that was a beautiful little village. It's a typical northern town or northern village with the stone houses and stone walls. And then it's got a beautiful medieval center with a castle. Again, the Roman bridge crossing the river is absolutely stunning and just a wonderful little place to explore and walk around. But
Yeah.
You've been to Lamego.
Yeah, I've also been to Lamego as well. Lamego, nice. I go to Lamego quite often. Whenever we have visitors, we tend to, at least once take them up to the Douro Valley, and then we make our way down through Lamego. I also did an actually interesting thing. You should interview them, Dill. I've stopped because I injured myself, but I used to do the 7 Wonders of Portugal 21 kilometer half marathons. And one of the locations that they do is the Douro River, and Lamego is like really close by. That we often stay in one of these small little rural bed and breakfasts in Lamego. It's really, really pretty. It's a church. The church is overlooking the historical part of the village. But the church is something amazing. A lot of people like to get married up there because it's so beautiful. But and I've done the stairs all the way down, right down to the bottom.
Amazing.
I did this. The way down was Beverly, but when it was to go back up again, she was like, no. So I had to walk up and get the car and then bring her down. But just the sanctuary is beautiful, and the parks around it. It's certainly if you're not in a hurry, it's a place to spend some time. Pretty much half a day there. Maybe take up a picnic, which would be really nice. You pull into the forest on the side of the road. They have places that you can stop and have a nice meal. Love it.
Well, after doing those 686 steps, then you kind of need to eat something.
Yeah. An excuse to eat more food. Yeah.
The next stop,
that
is Serra do Bussaco. I've been there. That is absolutely beautiful. It's an old palace. And now today it's a luxury hotel, and it's just incredible. But the whole area is just beautiful. You've got it's a little mountain range. It's not the highest in the country, but it's a beautiful place to hike through this natural park. There's little waterfalls and streams and rivers, and again, places to picnic. A great place to have a meal. The speciality in that area is leitão, the baby pig. And
How many Leitão shops are there? How many Leitão restaurants are there in that area?
Hundreds.
Unbelievable.
And if you go, we were there on a Sunday for lunch. Every single one of them are full. Every single one of them. And then Al Mural. Now, I purposely wanted this little bit put in. It's so small. I mean, it's a very quick trip, or it can be as quick and as long as you want it to be. But it's one of the most beautiful castles you will find in Portugal. Now, Portugal, for such a small country, has got more than 300 castles, which for me is just incredible. It's because we were always kicking the Spanish out. But this castle is absolutely stunning. It's in the middle of the river, of the Tejo River, and it was used by the Knights Templars. Now, those guys were really hardcore. And now we're coming into the Alentejo. Now, the Alentejo feels completely different to the rest of the country.
Yeah, completely different. The Alentejo is much drier. The towns or the villages are much smaller. The numbers are a lot smaller, further apart. So as you're driving through the Alentejo, you will be seeing a lot of cork trees that have, Beverly always says, cork trees that have got no pants on, you know, as they take the cork, they strip the cork off the tree and it leaves that red bark left behind. You'll be driving through there, you'll be seeing the black pork, you know, that delicious black pork that the Portuguese are so famous for. That the Spanish incidentally buy most of it to make jamon. They always say jamon from Spain. Truth is that most of it comes from Portugal, fed on those nice acorns, nice sweet acorns that they get from the cork oak. I love this village. Beverly and I, we've been there through a couple of times, but more recently, we went away just for a weekend. We have a home down in the Algarve, so we drove inland, stayed at Montmortenov, and the sweets in this area are amazing. You know, the breads and the sweet desserts, and love Montmortenov.
The castle is also lovely because it's one of the few castles that they decided not to restore and just leave it sort of in its original form. Yeah. And it's surrounded by these beautiful gardens and things, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And it's kind of a picture into what the castle was from the original. They haven't made it too touristy and stuff, so it's a really interesting place to explore.
Don't you find that interesting about Portugal? I think that's what makes these things like these routes so interesting, is that things haven't been modified to suit a certain trend. They've 100%. Been left in the original state, well maintained, but something that we can enjoy.
And then further down from Montmortenov, I have one of my favorite villages in the Alentejo, Aljustrel. On our first ever podcast, we spoke about the pork story, the vegetarian friend. This happened in Aljustrel, but it's a beautiful little village, typical Alentejo style. I mean, look at that, red roofs, whitewashed walls, and then the chapel sitting on top of this little mount. And the view, the Alentejo is so flat, it reminds me of Africa.
Yeah.
So flat, you can see for miles.
Something like the for us South Africans, the Karoo, or as you move into that area near closer to the Namibian border, this would be that kind of environment that you would have. How is Aljustrel when you go in the summer, in the peak of the summer? That looks like the town's on lockdown. It's pretty much what we're experiencing now. That there's just nobody out on the roads.
Yeah, it's quiet because it's too hot to be outside. So everyone's either in the house with the shutters closed and trying to stay cool, or they're in one of the tuskers having a cold beer. But it's a really beautiful village. It's famous for mining, and there's a famous music that's sung by the miners who formed choirs, and they sing this very famous traditional music, and it's absolutely beautiful. And then you get to São Brás do Alportel.
Yeah, coming through from Aljustrel, you've now come through the Alentejo, dry and then you go over the mountains. And as you go over the mountains, you come into São Brás, a very windy road as you're going through. But the N2 is a trip to be done slowly. This is not a place to be rushing. You're going to find lots of windy roads as you go through. Stop at the little cafes. The little cafes are just lovely. I mean, they're just local little tashkas, nothing special, but they're just so authentic. Stop going there.
Yeah, I really, what I like about São Brás is it feels so different to the rest of the Algarve. You know, the Algarve is obviously known for, you know, your Vila Moura and your Albufeira, these sort of modern towns on the beach. São Brás is inland. It's surrounded by these lovely green hills and winding roads. And then it's an old feel to the village, cobblestone streets, again, you know, your red roofs, and then some really beautiful restaurants. And that's your next stop. You mentioned in our first episode, it's the best way to see the country is on these national roads, and this is one of them.
Oh, this is amazing. This is, I mean, for me, this is the only way to see the country. You know, if you're in a hurry, yes, by all means, get onto the freeway and go all the way down, or the motorway. But the way to really experience Portugal, that's got to be with on these national roads. Take your time, stop as often as you can. Listen, this is about, again, going back to the simple life. This is about just appreciating life as you go through it. The Portuguese will show you the way. How to be.
Be sure to follow the link below for the full article about Portugal's Route 66. And please subscribe to this channel and follow us for the full interview on our podcast. Welcome to The Simple Life.